we are going to move from Excel to KoboToolBox, which will then move us from KoboToolBox to the mobile devices where our questionnaires will be able to be read and filled in. This is what we are trying to make. From Excel, we're trying to end up here. We have the form title, which is at the top. This we put it in under the sheet code settings. Then we have this text here that says, hello, this is a demo XLSForm for KoboToolBox. This is known as a label. Below this, we have small text in italics, which says this is a hint for the intro. So this is what is known as the hint. Then here we have a heading called respondent. But if I click this arrow here, I can sort of hide all the questions under respondent. So I have somehow grouped the questions together. So we do this by creating a group. We begin a group and we end a group. If we look at district here, it also has some questions. Then under there we have leadership. If I click on this arrow under district, even leadership disappears. That means that leadership is a group as well, because when I click there, its questions disappear. Leadership is a group which is part of the district group. So you can create single groups, or you can create a group that has another group inside of it. And when it comes to questions, you have multiple choice questions where you can select one option. There'll be instances where you can select multiple options. So when it comes to selecting one option, we have to specify a type. In the column for type, we have to specify a type that will tell KoboToolBox that this question should allow the user to select one option. Above, we have this box that allows us to enter text. So this as well, we need to specify the type of question it is. It has to be a type that allows text. We have things like edge. This will only take in numbers, meaning that we should use a type that only works with numbers. In order to create these Excel sheets that you can convert into forms on KoboToolBox, there are 3 sheets in Excel that you must have all the time. So the first sheet is always called survey. The second sheet is called choices. And the third sheet is called settings. Under the survey, this is where we have the bulk of our questions. The labels, the types, the hints, and so on and so forth. Under choices, just like the name says, this is where we have the choices to select from. The yes and no, the gender, the male, female, and so on and so forth. In survey, column number 1, we type in a word called type. So this is a mandatory column. The order does not matter. You can start with type, or you can start with the next one, which is name or label or hint. The formatting as well does not matter. You can have bold text there. If you want, you can put all your borders. When it comes to the type, there are so many different types, and I will share a link to the documentation where you can read up more on each and every type. You don't have to memorize the types, just know that there is a type that exists for something. So when you actually want to build, you can refer to the documentation and use the correct type. If we want an introduction, we can name this as intro. Okay? Remember, column B for the name is for you to choose the name. But just remember that the name that you choose has to be unique. It is case sensitive. If one is capital, the other one is not capital, there'll be different variables. Stick to using small letters, it is easier. There are no spaces as well. For our label, we want to print out hello. This is a demo XLSForm for KoboToolBox. We can also provide a hint that goes with this. Remember, the hint was the text which appeared below the label, which was in italics. I'll give my hint as this is a hint for the intro. We know that this shouldn't collect anything from the user. It shouldn't collect an integer, it shouldn't give us multiple options, and it shouldn't collect a geo point. So the correct type when we just want to give out an output that doesn't collect anything from the user is known as not. So the type is not, the name of the variable is intro, the label is what you want to print. We can actually group our questions. If you remember from the screenshot I showed you, we had certain groups like demographics and so on and so forth. To create a group, we simply type begin group in type. We can give a name to this group. So I'll call it respondent. Then the label, this one, you can use capital letters and whatnot. The label is what is always seen. So respondent. If you mistype and later on you have to use the variable name somewhere, there'll be an issue. Then below that, I will collect text. So this type, text, is for the type of input that you want from the user. So if you want the user to give you text, in fact, you yourself, you're the user since you're the researcher and you're asking questions, then the respondent responds. You are going to type in their name. So if you're just typing in text, then you're going to use a type called text. Then you give this a variable name. I'll say respondent, in short, respondent name. Then the label is what you want to read out. So we say, what is your name? If you want, you can provide a hint. Let's say, ask the respondent's name. We can add another one. Let's say we want to find out the gender of our respondent. So we ask, what is your gender? Say, ask gender, keep it simple. When choosing the gender, if you want, you can choose to type in the gender. But from experience, that is a lot of work. So if you choose to type in, you use a variable type called text. But if you want options, like we saw in the example that said male, female, other, we use a variable type that allows us to select one, and it's actually called select one. So we say select underscore one, then right next to it, space, then afterwards we use the variable name. So the variable name is gender. For respondents, usually you ask them their names, their genders, then you can also ask them their age. So like we said in the example, the age will come as an integer. Then the variable name, we call it age, then we just ask, how old are you? Then you say, ask the age. I can decide to end the group that I have so that I can have another heading or another group later on. So to end the group, you simply say end group. Here next to end group, you don't have to put anything in column B. But personal preference, just to be able to remember how my form is flowing, I repeat the variable name for the group which I started. But remember, I said the variable names should be unique. Why this will work, even though some people might not say it's okay, why it will work is because this variable name associated with end group will always be ignored. So the system will ignore whatever you put in here. So even if I repeat a variable name, it'll be okay because it will be ignored. Then to proceed, I might add another group. Let's say begin group. I want to find out something about the district that I'm in. Then I'll call this district. Then I can ask a question which I shall type out. Say district name. So let's assume I am asking the respondent, what is the name of this district? We have that. Now, I can decide to end this group if I want. But if I know that inside this group, there'll be another group. For example, we're talking about the districts. We might also now start to talk about the representation in the districts or the leadership in the districts. So it's still under one group. So what I'm doing is I'm nesting a group inside of another group. So I can say begin to begin another group, and our XLSForm will not struggle. It shall understand what we're doing. So let me call this leadership to find out exactly what is happening in terms of leadership there. Select one and an option called yes, no. We might call this MP because maybe I want to know if they have a member of parliament. So do you have a member of parliament? If these are the only questions I have on leadership, I can decide to end the group. So the way end group works is I had begin group on row number 10 and begin group on row number 13. When I put end group here, it will end the most recent begin group. So if we go upwards and we find the most recent, it will be this one. So this end group simply ends this group that we're in. So meaning that the group for district is still open until we end it. So here, remember as well, in column B, we necessarily don't need to put anything. So depending on who you report to and when they go through your forms, they might want this blank, but just remember that this is always ignored by the system. But it will also help you remember which group you're ending, because I began group as leadership here, then I'm ending group for leadership. So I know that I haven't ended for district. Then what I like to do is leave a space after I've ended this group. In row 15, I leave some space to end the group for district. The spaces that I'm putting here are just for my own formatting because that's what I prefer, but they are not a must. The other thing I'll do is very unnecessary if you don't have any issue, but I prefer to color code certain things to understand how my information is flowing. So you might as well do that to have the groups according to certain colors or the same color to show that a group is beginning or ending. And these colors will not affect the form. Remember, it is format independent. We now go to choices. So this choices tab will be for row number 6 and row number 14. These are the ones that have select one, select one. So you sort of have choices to make. you have choices for gender, and you have choices for yes or no. So when you're done with your survey sheet, you go to choices. In choices there as well, you are going to have 3 columns which are mandatory. Column 1 is called list underscore name, which is the list name, because remember you are going to produce a list from which you are going to choose either one option or multiple options. Then you have the name. So this name is the variable name. Then you have the label. The choices that we had was gender. So the name that we're putting in survey is not this one in column B. The name that we're putting is the word that appears next to select 1. So this word here, which is gender. If we go to row number 14, what appears after select 1 is yes, no. That is what we put under list name. So that is the name of the list. So we say gender, we say male. So here, that is only a variable name. No one will see this, but what they will see is this, male. So we capitalize it, the punctuation has to be on point. So this only means that as it stands, we're only going to print out one option. But if we want to continue printing out more options for gender, we can put in more options. Then in case there is someone who's not female or male, we can say other, which would be other. Then the other option that we had was yes underscore no. So the first one would be yes, that would be yes. Then we say yes, no, then we say no, then no. We fill in the last sheet. This last sheet might have multiple columns, but the most important for now is the title. And this is given by form underscore title. I will just say demo form for KoboToolBox course. We can save, then we can close our form. Back to the KoboToolBox website, you simply click on where it says new and you select upload an XLSForm. If it has issues and errors, it will let us know. Right here on top you have edit in form builder and we have preview. Then we have replace form in case you've made some changes. So instead of uploading a new one, you can click on replace. So when we go on preview, we can see what our form looks like. So here's the form that we made. So remember, hello, this is a demo XLSForm. This was under the label. Then this in italics was under the hints. So it says this is a hint for the intro. Then remember the group that we made, we had a group called respondent. So this is why we have a heading here. So it is a group. Everything is in a group. So all these are the groups that we made. Remember, district had a group inside it. That's why leadership is under district. So that's how those groups work. So when you make a group, then you have a label name. That label name will be the heading of that group. So under respondent, we had questions like what is your name? So you can fill this in because we said it accepts text. So the respondent or whoever is filling in can fill in. Then it says ask the respondent's name. So this is the hint that we told it to give us. Then what is your gender? Remember, we told it to select one. So we can only select either male, female, or other. Then how old are you? This one won't take any text. So as I'm speaking, I'm trying to type random text, it won't. It will only take in numbers because the type is integer. The same thing for the district, that is text. Do you have a member of parliament? You say yes or you say no. As simple as that. In Google Sheets allows us the same behavior that Excel allows us. It's a spreadsheet, and it works in a very, very similar way. This is the same form that we had on our local machine. We can just change the title. We say Google Sheets demo. Google Sheets demo. Then we can change some of the questions here. So under district, maybe we can add another question. Whatever question we're trying to use, remember we can go to the forms. Let's see if we can use something that we haven't used. Let's say image. So all we have to do is simply put image there. Then the name, we can just call this maybe photo. Then under label, what do we want to print out? We just say picture of district landmark. So just by having image under the column that says type, we are telling KoboToolBox that we want to take an image. We go to where it says file. Then under file, we go to where it says share. Under share, we go to where it says publish to web. So what we're looking for is using this option. When we go to new, it says import via URL. So we're trying to use a link. Why would it be beneficial to use a link? Well, in case you change your form here, you want the form this side to update automatically. It still has some issues. They are still developing it to make it flawless, but that is what is supposed to happen. So we go to file, share, publish to web. Then we are looking at a link. We're looking at the entire document. We don't want a web page. What we want is XLSX. So under publish content settings, here it says automatically republish when changes are made. So that is the thought process behind that linkage. Whenever you make a change, it has to automatically reflect in the form. So you simply click on publish, click OK. Then it gives you this link. You copy this link and you go back to KoboToolBox. You click on new, you click import an XLSForm via URL. Then you put your link there and you click import. You've seen here it says Google Sheets demo for KoboToolBox course. So it has read it correctly. This is the form that we used. KoboToolBox course, public health, choose your country there, we say Zambia, and we say create project. So if we go on preview, we have this Google Sheets demo form from Excel to KoboToolBox, uploading directly or using a link from Google Sheets.